Welcome to Beyond the Buzzer, where real hoop stories get the spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Wethers, former Division I athlete and overseas pro. Each week, I sit down with players, coaches, and grinders who lived the game but didn't always reach the dream. From college standouts to overseas warriors, this is where we unpack the truth. Behind the journey, the highs, the lows, the heartbreak, and life after the final buzzer.
He's on his way, he's about to get paid, he's on his way to Hollywood. He's on his way, he's about to get paid, he's on his way to Hollywood. Show him the way.
Guests, welcome back to the show. This is Beyond the Buzzer. I'm your host, Brian Wethers, and this week we have a very special guest. We have a real one that crossed over, made it to the big leagues, and we want to hear his story. But before we do that, let's check out some highlights, see if you guys recognize him from those. Without further ado, we'd like to welcome Mr. Chris CARR to the show. Chris, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right on. So we don't get to have these unique conversations too much because the premises of the story is generally guys that are very close, to making that NBA or, making it to the pinnacle of their sport. You were one who actually made it. So I would love to talk about that and that journey. Before our fans, I'd like to just kind of start from the beginning. Basketball, when did you kind of pick it up and when did that journey kind of begin for you?
Yeah. So my whole family, I'm the youngest of 10. So my journey with basketball, I grew up in a gym with brothers and sisters that played, that all went on to play college basketball. So it was kind of expected or inherited that I would become a basketball player. Because a small town, 722 people, rural Southeast Missouri, there's not a lot expected of you. And when you're the only African-American family, it's either sports or working at the gas station. We didn't have football. And so it was like basketball or bust. And so for me, that's what it became. And, it's the process that I went through is something that was very interesting. So as a seventh grader, I made the eighth grade team and I got a 68% in math class. And, my mom, God rest her soul, she was raising me herself. My father had left when I was 5. So she had worked hard to buy me these pair of basketball shoes. Remember the pony basketball shoes?
Yeah.
The white with the big red swoosh on, big red check on the back, right? She had worked hard to buy me these basketball shoes. And she made me tell my team and my coach that I was quitting the team because I made a bad grade in math class. So she made me quit playing. And then what made it worse, she said, every day you're going to carry these shoes to every class that you go to. You don't get no backpack. You don't get a gym bag. You're going to carry these shoes on top of your books. And if I show up to that school and don't see you with them shoes in your hands, you're getting a whooping.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and it was to remind me or teach me the lesson, which is very important. Yeah. Don't do anything that'll take you away from something that you say that you love to do. And by me not doing well in math, which found out later, I'm not the most proficient in math anyway. However, for my journey, that step back allowed me to catapult into, what came next for me, which was a lot of success.
Yeah. Well, I'd imagine that forced you to lock in. And that's the humility aspect of it, of like, I don't want this to happen again, I'm sure. So that probably locked you in.
Well, yeah. I mean, imagine walking around a school of kids like this now in today's era be called, oh, he's getting bullied. Oh, you're getting bullied. Oh, But I got called dummy, stupid. I couldn't even go to the games because it just hurt me so bad that I couldn't be out there. And I didn't get a chance to play. And so that was hard. I didn't get to practice with the team. I didn't get to do anything.
Yeah.
But it taught me something very valuable. It's like my mom said, anybody can make B's. She says, no matter what you do, you can always keep a B average. I don't care what you do. You can always make all B's. And so that was just my point to my life. And so it really helped me in the long run.
So can you talk about like that next year, right? So that happened, right? And then now you lock in. So the success that came after that, can you talk about like what that was like? So I'm sure that year was tough, but then now you
Yeah,
fix
that
it.
year was yeah, that year was tough. My eighth grade year was kind of tough because the coach, he's always telling me, I don't know if I can depend on you. I don't know if I can depend
Yeah.
on you. And every time I made one mistake, he'd pull me out of the game. Like,
Mm,
oh, don't reach on defense. Oh, don't do this. Don't do that. Now, mind you, as an eighth grader, I was only 5 foot tall. I
wow.
was skinny, scrawny, long arms, big feet, you know, but there was something there that was eventually going to come out. But
Mhm,
ironically enough, my eighth grade basketball coach was also my varsity baseball coach.
mhm,
And at that time, baseball was my first love. I loved baseball and I wanted to be the next Ozzie Smith. And so for me, it was like, well, I don't get to play basketball, but I'll get to play baseball in the spring and summer. And then, basketball will be okay. But um, my journey again, and I got a poster here in the back of me. It's a skateboard that's on my wall in my office here. And so like I love to skateboard also.
mm,
And I'm out in the parking lot of the high school gym one day skateboarding with some buddies and I'd saved up for a whole year to buy this skateboard. And if anybody knows anything about skateboarding, Santa Cruz made these skateboards that were like really awesome.
mhm.
And Jeff Kendall was one of my favorite skaters. So I saved up for a whole year to buy this skateboard and put it together, and I was so excited to have it. I'm downtown, I'm skating, and I'm in the parking lot. And my boys varsity coach, he steps outside the gym. He says, "Hey, come here." I run over to the gym. Say, "Yeah, coach." He says, "Hey, do you ever plan on playing for me in this gym?" I was like, "Oh yeah, coach. Yeah, one day." It's July in the middle of summer before my freshman year of high school, and he says, "Okay." He says, "Well, here." He says, "Come on in. We're playing right now. Come in and play." He said, "Here, give me that idiot board so we don't get hurt on it." So I was like, it's my high school coach. He coached all my brothers. I trust him. It's Coach Bone. He takes my skateboard. So I go in the gym, start playing and, figuring it out. I'm talented, but a little bit of talent at that time. Didn't know how to play. I just knew that I could play. Right.
Mhm.
So we get to the end of the open gym. So I started looking around. I'm like, I asked our JV coach, I said, "Hey, where did Coach Bone go?" He says, "I think he went home." And I was like, "Oh, well, he's got my skateboard." He's like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened to it." And I go down the equipment room, I go in the office, I'm looking for the skateboard. And so whenever I came in the gym, coach, he told me, he says, "I got two rules." He says, "Don't ever question me." And he says, "And always be the best version of yourself." Fair. So come back the next day, I'm thinking, well, obviously he put it in his car, maybe forgot, whatever. Get back to gym next day, I was like, "Hey, coach, you took my skateboard yesterday." And he looked at me, he says, "Yeah, what did I tell you? What's rule number one?" And I
Hmm.
said, so now I'm conflicted. I'm like, "Listen, man, I
I
saved
paid
up,
big money for that. Yeah.
I saved $60 to buy that skateboard.
Yeah.
And I want my skate, and I was like, well, maybe he'll give it back in a few days once he sees me coming every day. And well, he didn't. I've never seen it again in my life. I have no idea to this day what happened to it.
Wow.
So yeah, so that, that kind of carried me my freshman year. I didn't make the varsity team, didn't make the JV team.
Mm,
I played on the JV team, but he made me play on the freshman team because he said I didn't work hard enough.
mm.
And he played me on the freshman team, and I didn't even start in the freshman games.
Wow.
Now, mind you, as a freshman, I'm only 5'5", 105 pounds.
Mhm.
So I had a choice. I got to like mid-January of my freshman year because my brother Johnny was a really good player. He was probably the second best player to come out of my high school after my sister Eleanor. And he is
Now,
always like, "You're
now,
never
now
going to be
what,
as good at,"
what high school did
said
you go to?
Arcadia Valley High School in Southeast Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was always like, "You'll never be as good as your brother Johnny. You don't work as hard as your brother Johnny." And I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm done playing basketball." She was like, "Well, first of all, you're not going to quit," which is something that no parent tells their kids today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she says, "Now, if you choose not to play once you get to the end of the season, that's on you. You're going to get a job and you're going to work and you're going to save your money so you can go to college. Okay, that's fine. She says, but she says two things. One, you don't ever let another man make you quit.
Mm.
She says, and two, she says, how about you just work as hard as you can to be the best you can be, and don't worry about what everybody else says. She says, you be you. Don't worry about not being as good as Johnny or this, that, or the other. She said, you just focus on being you. And so I was like, okay. So I finished out the year, and we got out of school that going into that summer. And my high school coach said, well, are you ready to get to work? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to get to work. He said, okay. He says, every morning, starting Monday morning, he says, you run to the gym, and you and I are going to work out from 7:30 to 9, just me and you. He says, and then the rest of the team will get there from 9 to 11, and then you're going to work out with them. Then you're going to lift weights from 11 to 12, and then we have open gym every Monday through Thursday night from 7 to 9.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. And he handed me a 50-pound sandbag vest and said, when you run with that on.
Hmm.
And I said, this is 50 pounds. He's like, yeah, the only way you're going to get your legs strong enough to where you can actually do something is you got to get stronger. So this will help you. So I put this, now mind you, I'm skinny. So I've got this sucker strapped all the way to my body. And first day, and it's only like, school's only like 4.5 miles from my house. I start running.
That's a
I
lot with
am,
50 pounds. Yeah.
oh man. And now mind you, that's almost half of what I weigh.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I
So,
105.
yeah,
Going, okay, so
man. So I run to
46.
the first, man. So I run the first day. It takes me about 40 minutes. He looks at his watch when I come running up. He looks at his watch. He's like, that was slow. You have to get faster than that. All right, come on, let's go in the gym. So I go through a whole 90-minute workout with him, just working on drop step finish, jump hooks, turnaround jump shots, you
Mhm.
know, jump, grab a rebound, throw a good outlet pass, post up,
Yeah.
from 7:30 to 9. That's all I did.
Mm.
And then when my high school teammates came in, I had a 100-shot workout that I had to do with the post players and a 100-shot workout I had to do with the guards. And he said, you take the first hour and do the post workout, and you take the second hour and do the guard workout, and you better hurry because you got to get it all done. I was the only person that he had doing that.
Mm.
And so the first week, first 2 weeks, it was hard.
Yeah.
After that, then it started getting easier.
Yeah.
By about the third week of June, now mind you, summers in Missouri are hot and humid, 90 degrees at 7 a.m. with 100% relative humidity. So you walk outside and you sweating already.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting up every day running. My high school teammates is like, man, but like how early do you get here? I said, I'm here at 7:30 every morning. So y'all should come join me. Never showed up. Never
Mm.
showed up. And that was okay because I grew from 5'5" to 5'10". I went from 105 pounds to 145 pounds.
Mm.
I was still skinny,
Mhm.
but I start varsity my sophomore year and never looked back.
Yeah.
And it was a testament to just understanding how to work hard. I didn't know what Mamba mentality was, but I knew what you better
Yeah.
get your butt in the gym and work if you don't want to have a job cutting
Mm.
grass or throwing hay all summer. I threw hay one summer. Have you
Mhm.
ever done that?
No.
Oh, yeah,
No.
that's an
I've
expense.
heard. That's next.
It's the worst job in the world.
I've
And
heard.
my first my
Yeah.
first time I went, I wore a t-shirt 'cause it's hot outside.
Yeah.
But you have to grab these 75-pound bales of hay.
So you
You got to grab them and you got to
forearms all
lift them up
sweating.
on
Yeah.
it tore up.
Yeah.
Tore up. And I didn't take gloves. So I
Oh.
had twine cuts all on my hands. And they pay you a nickel a bale.
Oh yeah. See, we in California don't know nothing about that.
Yeah. I did that 5 times that summer. I got
Right.
smarter,
Yeah.
but and then the last time I went, and this was what said, I'm never doing this again. It's not 1800s no more. We got freed. I said, I'm throwing this hay, throwing this hay. I reached down to grab a bale of hay. It's a rattlesnake.
Oh, I'm
It
done.
was coiled up in the middle of it. And I mean, it was coiled. And I wasn't working with headphones on. It was the one day I left my Walkman sitting on the back of the car.
Mm.
And I said, oh man, I don't have my, and I heard it. And I
Yeah.
look, oh boy, you couldn't tell me. And I said,
Yeah. I'm
I'm
done.
running. Yeah.
So wait, I'm loving this story, and I do want to kind of continue on with the high school part of it, but we got to take a small break for our sponsors, and we'll be right
Okay.
back.
Hey, it's Brent with Pop and Wine Tours. Come out and join us 7 days a week. We got the best wine tour in town. All your tastings are covered. 17, 18 tastings, all of them are free. You get a driver, you get a guide. It's the best time in town. So come on out and join us today.
Welcome back to the show. Joining with Chris CARR. We're having a great conversation about basketball in general. He just recently was talking about shoveling hay and then rattlesnakes coming in. So without further ado, Chris CARR, welcome back to the show.
There you go.
I think we left off on we're free now, and then you don't have to you don't have to do labor and shoveling hay all day. But I do love the story I'm hearing because we just don't hear this now. Like the grind you went through just to make that varsity team as a junior or as a sophomore. And then the work your coach put you through. And you talked about like that would be considered abuse nowadays. And I couldn't agree more. You know, it's hard to get people just to buy into like, you just need to work. And everyone's always trying to find the right niche position, which I get. You only get one chance to play and like you want to make the most of it. But there's a lot to be said through your story where, you know, that freshman year was humbling. Mom made you carry the shoes. And like there needs to be a little bit of that, right? That adversity piece early, I think, to really set people up to go, because I can attest to that, having played. My high school principal was my former coach. He challenged us in 8th grade where most people don't get that till like college, right? And in the sense of like the conditioning, the discipline, the structure, the accountability, you know, it was catered to our age group. He wasn't barking at us like grown men. But the amount of structure and accountability we went through as 8th graders allowed me to come in as a freshman, you know, ready to play varsity ball. I developed a little earlier. I was already pretty big as a freshman, so I was able to, you know, physically kind of match up. But I remember going through that my 8th grade year, and fast forward now, you just don't see that. You know, you have a lot of people that have their own private trainers and their private conditioning coach, and they move from program to program if they don't play. And if, you know, the high school coach doesn't start them as a freshman, they want to transfer. And you know, there's nobody that just puts their head down. And I can't say there's nobody, but it's far and few between where you see guys just about the work. So I love that story because it obviously paid off for you. You became an NBA player, but it didn't start that way, right? And we're sure it was that one year that was really humbling. So if you could just talk about like what that part of it kind of meant for you in the hindsight, and then when in high school, like recruitment started to get real for you, and when did you realize like this work is kind of paying off, right?
Yeah, so as a freshman, 5'5", 105 pounds. Sophomore, 5'10", 145. Junior, 6'2". Now I've kind of came into my own a little bit more. Now I went from just thinking that I was good to like, no, you're pretty good. And so now I've gotten baptism by fire. I had a great mentor. His name was Danny Foster, who kind of took me under his wing. He was a local legend from our area of Missouri. Played high school basketball, scored like 2,500 points, went to Three Rivers Community College, was an All-American there before he tore up his knee. And so he lived in our town, and he invested in me heavily, from lifting weights to working out to didn't even know what skill work was. All I knew was, hey, we're going to get out and we're going to shoot. We're going to play one-on-one, and that's where you're going to get better. And because he'd always tell me, he says, if you can take me beating on you, you can take anybody in high school beating on you. He said, you'll be giving out the beatings, you won't be taking them. So I go through my junior year, obviously lead the team in scoring and rebounding, average like 17 and a half and 10 rebounds a game as a junior,
Mhm.
have a really, really good year. And then that summer, I played with the St. Louis Eagles out of now it would be Bradley Beal Elite, and
Mhm.
got to meet some lifelong friends of mine. Corey Tate is one of my lifelong friends. He's an assistant coach at St. Louis University now,
Okay.
and he was always like, "CC, if you come hoop in the Lou, man, everybody will respect you. Right now, don't nobody respect you because you was this long black dude from down south, man. Don't nobody know nothing about you." And so that was the challenge, and
Yeah.
and and so I played with them, had a solid summer of basketball. There wasn't really anything in the spring; it was all summer, right?
Mhm.
And then I go into my senior year of high school. Now I'm 6'4". Now I'm 175, 180 pounds. Now my athleticism now, because I kept doing the same summer workouts. The run from the house got to be in 30 minutes instead of 40 minutes.
Mhm.
And now I'm starting off my workout doing drop step dunk drills with the weight vest on instead of
Mhm.
just laboring through a
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah.
And so now it's different now. And I'm starting to look different. And now my mentality is starting to change. Like, no, you're good. And then I took on this mentality like I'm never gonna lose. And so we went a whole summer where I refused to play with anybody else when we would play pickup.
Yeah.
I played with the same guys. I never got to play full court pickup whenever I was in high school.
As
We
long
always
as that.
played 4-on-4, half court.
Mhm.
And to because my high school coach won, he says if you can play in a half court, you learn how to play, you can play anywhere.
That's a good point.
And so I played with the same guys every day. And I set the goal like I'm never losing,
Mhm.
and never
You did.
lost. Like I went a whole spring, summer, fall into high school and
Wow.
never lost a game.
Wow.
And like I would come in the gym, it's like now I got a little bit more braggadocious to me now. And I'm
Mhm.
like, everybody's like, oh man, they're not gonna break the team up. They be trying to tell coach, man, we gotta switch the teams up. And he's like, no, y'all gotta figure out how to beat them.
Yeah.
Now he was on me every day. He'd always be like, you can't score every time. My mind, I'm like,
Yeah. I
yes, I
can.
can. Yeah. And then he would challenge me differently. He'd be like, can you score off of cuts? Can you score by
Yeah.
just shooting all jump shots? Can you
Mhm.
score where you not the first person to touch the ball? Can you win a game without ever taking a shot?
Mhm.
Can you go a whole night and don't do anything but rebound and your team win?
So you had a coach that understood how to challenge you, and he was working with somebody that accepted challenges. Because as I'm listening, you just rattle off these things. He's probably in
Yeah.
his mind going, "Well, shoot, let's just see. What's his threshold? How far can we take it? How many challenges will we?"
Yeah.
And again, that's just I can't help because I know we have kids that watch this show. That's just a huge point for me to hit on. Like that competitiveness is recruitable. Like now, it used to be you have to be good. Like now, you still got to be good, but you're recruiting competitiveness along with the talent now. Where it used to just kind of be there. Like most guys were competitive that were playing, and now you're looking at talent. But now, when I look at guys, I'm looking at who competes hard in everything. Who gets mad when they lose? Who wants to be first in the drill, like over and over, not just the first time. Like those things are what make athletes special now. And I'm listening to your story. That's just I can see why you made it.
Yeah. And he was my high school coach, man. He was awesome. And he knew what I was capable of.
Mhm.
And he also pulled the reins really hard on me.
Mhm.
So like my senior year, we go 26-2. We're ranked number 2 in the state. Average 20.6 points per game, 15.8 rebounds per game, and 15.5 minutes per game.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Dang.
And he would tell me, you better get to it early because you ain't gonna be out there long if you do what you're supposed to do.
Wow.
And and for me, it was challenging because it's like, man, I wish I could play like the rest of the kids. But it wasn't that. And we're the only African American. I'm the only black kid. I'm the only kid of color on the team.
Mm.
And so, and I knew he dealt with pressures of the boosters and alumni of the school, like, why ain't my nephew playing? Why ain't my grandson playing more? You let the black kid, do whatever. And it really, so he was pulling the strings the other way, trying to like keep it balanced.
Yeah.
And the thing that probably hurt me the most, we got to the end of my senior year, we have our banquet at the end of the year. And he says our athlete of the year is probably going to come as no surprise. He says, I held this guy back. He says, with hopes that whenever he moves forward, he'll move forward with a vengeance and a focus that will allow him to really achieve what
Mm.
he can. And he said he averaged 20 when he could have easily averaged 30 or 35 or maybe even 40 if
40.
I'd really let him go.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, but he says, I kept him from doing it. And he
Mm.
says, because I wanted him to learn the importance and the responsibility of making other people better and how to work differently and how to play differently and how to
Mm.
be a better version of himself.
Mm.
And it made me mad, but I understood because as I
Yeah.
went through college, I understood that.
Yeah.
And then my journey through college was similar.
Yeah.
Went as a freshman, backup five man as a freshman, but I kept working. I had a great senior leader that
Mhm.
helped me and pushed me every day, taught me how to work at the college level.
Mm.
Till we get to the end of the season, we play against Duke in the NCAA tournament, first school's trip to the NCAA tournament, and I'm the player of the game. I
Wow.
have 10 points and 10 rebounds and six blocks in 15 minutes against the two-time defending national champions.
And how tall are you at this point?
Now I'm 6'5" and a
Okay.
half. I'm
Okay.
almost 6'6", and
Okay.
and I've kind of came into my own, but I'm like, and I was option five. Anytime I win the game, they say, if you can't dunk it or put it back on the glass on offensive rebound, do not shoot. You better throw it to one of the other four people.
Gotcha.
That's the role I had to play. They say, you want to
Mhm.
play? Yep. This is what you got to do.
Okay.
Which again, to your point, kids nowadays don't get told that. They
No,
only,
and they don't embrace it. They would have
no,
walked out the door, and I'm
yeah,
going to go somewhere where they let me shoot, and yada yada yada. But I'm going back to kind of your high school story because that is unfortunate because I do understand the lesson, but then I'm thinking from a record standpoint, like you deserve to go for it, right? So I get it. Like long term, it probably paid off, but I'm sure you feel a certain way going, well, the what if? Like had you played me 30 minutes, right? I could have done
yeah,
this, and who knows what records I could have had, but it's
yeah.
behind me now. So
Well, here's the beauty of it is everybody else around seen it
yeah.
because I'm one of only 11 people in the Missouri basketball history that
Mm.
was voted unanimous decision first
Mm.
team all state.
Wow.
And that list is really short. So it's Tyler Hansborough,
Yeah.
Bill Bradley, who's
Yeah.
50 greatest,
Yeah.
Brad Beal,
Okay. Yeah. Bradley Bill.
Larry Hughes, Anthony Bonner,
Yeah.
Jason Tatum,
Okay.
Anthony Peeler.
Yeah. Former Laker.
Um, yep. And the what's the three brothers' name out of Kansas City? Um, can't think of their names off, but there's three
Rush.
brothers that play one. Yeah, the Rush brothers. Yeah, Kareem,
Yeah.
Jerron, and
Yeah.
Darren Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
and
Okay.
so those so there's not the list is short,
Yeah.
and so and
That's
I'm
impressive.
I'm a
And then
part.
that's, I mean, that's 11 pros. I think out of maybe one or two, I think Kareem or Jerron Rush was the only one who didn't make the NBA out of Rush
Jerron
brother.
didn't make it. Jerron went to
Uh,
UCLA. Jerron was the
that's
best
Kareem.
athlete of all of them, and
Kareem
he got
was, yeah.
Kareem was the worst athlete and ended up having the
Kareem was-
longest career.
Yeah.
And then the youngest one went to KU, lottery pick, never panned out in the NBA.
Hmm.
So, so it was but the list is
Yeah.
not very long. And to be on that with that esteemed company
That's
is
yeah.
yeah. So, but it taught me a lot. It taught me how to work when nobody's watching so you can
Yeah.
perform when everybody's watching. It
Yeah.
taught me how to handle my role
Mhm.
and expand my role to the point where you can be a star in your role no matter what your role is.
Mhm.
And that was the other thing that I learned, like, learn how to play whatever part you need to play,
Yeah.
but be the best that you can possibly be in it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was really good because I learned a lot of things that as I've moved on in life and now I work with kids, those are
Mhm.
valuable lessons that I get an opportunity to teach them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So from college, right? Ultimately, we got to the NBA. Talk about like crossing over, and what that was like, and when you realized you had NBA potential, and being drafted. How was that for you?
Well, so the Duke game, Grant
Hmm.
Hill, Bobby Hurley, Antonio Lang, Cherokee Parks,
Yeah,
Tony Hill, um, all of those guys that's their starting five.
yeah, yeah.
And as a freshman, I'm going toe to toe with the dudes that are supposed to be
Lottery
all
picks. Yeah,
lottery picks. Yeah,
yeah,
Bobby Hurley's lottery pick, Cherokee
yeah.
Park's lottery pick, Grant Hill lottery pick. And I said, okay, I said, well, after that game, when I got back to school, I said, I'm gonna work as hard as I can to be the best I can be. So if I don't make it, it won't be because I didn't work hard. It'll just be because I wasn't good enough.
Which I can
I
live
can
with.
handle not being good enough,
Yeah.
but I could never handle not having worked as hard as I could. And I did it for a primary reason, which is why now, which we'll talk about in a second. I said, someday I'm gonna have a son
Mm.
and we're gonna be sitting watching basketball. And he'll be like, Dad, you tall, why didn't you play basketball? And I'll be like, well, son, if I had worked harder, instantly in his mind, I've just put in his mind the ghetto mentality
Hmm.
of I don't have to work hard
Hmm.
and it's okay to be okay. And
Yeah.
I've never wanted any of my kids to ever think that it's okay to just be okay. I want them to always push to
Hmm.
move further, to move that boundary, to move that limit, to go way beyond what anything anybody ever expects you. Because I lived it and I know it's possible. You just have to have a focus and purpose on how you want to go about that. And so for me, it was great because I worked sophomore year, get off to an unbelievable start, and hurt my knee, tear my MCL in my left knee. I went from
Mm.
averaging 27 points a game, dipped down to like 9 points a game because I never took a day off. I just played through it.
Yeah.
And then we got to a point where then my junior year, I come back, I work hard, I go to St. Louis, I play in the pro-am, and I'm playing against Anthony Bonner, LaFonso Ellis, Anthony Peeler. I'm playing against all the guys from Mizzou, Julian
Hmm.
Winfield, Kelly Thames, Corey Tate, and I'm killing the summer league.
Mm.
And then I said, and Anthony Bonner came in, and I worked out with Anthony Bonner all summer and playing one-on-one with him when he was in his prime. He was a defensive mind. He played for the Knicks at that time.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
that was the Knicks with
That was
Pat Riley, with
Mason.
Mason, Oakley, Charles Smith, John Stark, the crazy ones, the
Oh
first
yeah.
crazy ones.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like I'm really battling to compete against him every day in June. By the time we got to July, I'm starting to win half the games. When we got to August, I'm beating him
Mm.
because because my mindset was I can adjust to play against him, big, strong, athletic. He can never do what I can do. Once I unlock how I can do what my thing against him, and
It's
that
there.
subsequently gave me the confidence. I go into my junior year, have a phenomenal year, and I tell my two best friends, I said, if I'm the player of the year in the conference and we go to the NCAA tournament, I'm gonna do something that nobody has ever thought of. I'm gonna leave Southern Illinois University after my junior year for the NBA. And everybody's like, that's crazy. You shouldn't do that. That's not a good idea. And I said, but why not?
Yeah.
I said, why wouldn't I? If the opportunity's there, why wouldn't I? And the best thing that happened for me, Marty Blake, the director of NBA scouting back in the mid 90s, he came to watch a game where there was a guy playing by the name of Odell Hodge. We were playing against Old Dominion. And Odell Hodge had been the two-time Colonial Athletic Conference Player of the Year, 6'9", 240 pounds. It's like he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
So Marty Blake was in Indianapolis, drove down to watch this game. I have 35 points, 9 rebounds, most electrifying player on the court. We beat him. And Marty Blake left the game, was like, I don't know who I was supposed to watch, but there was this athletic wing player by the name of Chris Carr that people need to circle on their radar because he's
Nice.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, and that kind of allowed me to have a great junior year. I announced I'm leaving school for the NBA. And then that became something else because I had 20 workouts. I worked out for 20 NBA teams in my
Wow.
draft process.
Wow.
20.
Yeah. That's
And
really.
it catapulted. It ended up, I worked out for the Phoenix Suns, Phoenix was my last workout. And my agent was like, "Hey, Phoenix really likes you. They love your shooting ability, your scoring ability. Um, you need to have a good workout." My agent told me that. I missed 2 shots the whole workout.
Yeah.
2 shots, 2 shots. And it was like they couldn't
That's
believe it.
that's lights out.
J- Jerry Colangelo came. Jerry Colangelo was the president of the team at the time. He started off watching the workout from in the Phoenix America West in the practice facility. It was downstairs from their main arena. He started off watching the workout from outside the window. By the time I got to the end of the workout, he was down on the floor underneath the hoop
Yeah.
watching the workout. He couldn't believe it.
Nice.
And yeah, and he came out on the court after the workout, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to do this right now." I'm like, "Okay." He said, "I want you to get the ball at half court, and I want you to dribble as fast as you can to right here and stop and shoot." And I dribble in and I elevate and shoot it. And he's like, "Do it again." Now I'm tired, and I do it
Yeah.
again. He says, "Do it again." I did like 5 of them, and I went 4 out of 5. That was my second miss of the day.
Mm.
And he says, "You hungry?" I said, "Yes, sir." He's like, "Good. Why don't you go shower and we'll go to lunch?" And we go to lunch. I order chicken fingers. He makes them, sends it back,
Yeah.
and he says, "Hey," he says, "you're about to play in the most exclusive club in the world. You don't eat chicken fingers. You eat a filet mignon and a baked potato."
Mm.
And I said, "I've never had one before." And he says, "You're gonna have one today."
Wow.
And the other thing he was impressed with was I was one of the few guys, like whenever I went to work out, like I at least wore a collared shirt and I
Hmm.
wore some slacks. Now, mind you, I only had 2 collared shirts and 2 pairs of pants, so I was glad I got it right.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate. I got up that morning and I ironed them before I went to my. So I wore it to the gym. They gave me workout clothes, and then I wore them. And then when I got done, I didn't keep any of the workout stuff.
Mm.
And on the ride to the hotel, I got to the airport. They sent their equipment manager, brought me a whole bag full of Phoenix Suns workout stuff.
Wow.
And I said, "What's this for?" And he's like, "Mr. Colangelo noticed that you didn't keep your workout stuff like everybody else, and he wanted to make sure that our next draftee was going to have workout gear."
Wow.
And I said, "Man, thank you."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and so subsequently, draft went a little crazy. Cleveland drafts Bobby Sura instead of drafting Michael Finley.
Hmm.
Um, Michael Finley falls in the draft, so now Phoenix obviously takes him, and then they say they got to take a big at the end of the first round. They take Mario Bennett, and then they were like, "There's no way Chris will fall. There's no way he'll fall to 56." And I fell to 56, and they drafted me on a commercial break. That's how fast they drafted me. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. They like
And at that
they
point,
went
I'm
to
like,
commercial.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was sunk into the couch. I was so low because I was like, "Man, this was a mistake.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to go to Europe. I'm gonna have to go to CBA." And then they came back from commercial break and they said, with the 56th pick, the Phoenix Suns select Chris Carr out of Southern Illinois. And I was like, "Oh man."
I'd have just fell
Now,
out.
yeah, it was amazing, man. And so from there, it just the journey began
Hmm.
of how do I become a pro. Um, had some great vets. Charles Barkley is obviously my vet, my rookie year. And he was like, "My son says the game now is not played from the neck down. The game is played from the neck up. You got to get smarter."
Mm.
And he was right. And
Yeah.
Cotton Fitzsimmons, when he took over as coach, he worked with me on, you got to be a coach on the court. You got to be a coach on the court. You got to think about all the stuff that nobody else is thinking about. So that allowed me to progress through my career. And then subsequently had 3 great years in Minnesota. Then I went on to New Jersey, then Chicago, and ended up in Cleveland. So, the point of it all is I had the ability to play for some great people, teach me some valuable mental, physical, and emotional lessons about life, about perseverance, about work ethic, about understanding the business side of basketball,
Hmm.
and how it all culminates together into how it molds you into be the person that you will be or that who you're supposed to become.
Yeah. Man, that's a great story, man. I do appreciate your time, man. That's awesome. So if you could talk about like after the ball stopped bouncing, like what are you doing now?
Yeah. So now, hey, could you shut that door? Shut the door. So now I live back in Minnesota. So I coached women's college basketball as an assistant coach for 5 years. I started my first company after I got done playing, 43 Hoops Basketball Academy,
Hmm.
in Hopkins, Minnesota, teaching kids how to play basketball. Started AAU program. We had 77 kids that came through my program that went to school for free. $6.8 million in scholarships generated for them. Um, and every kid that came out as freshmen after they came through my program were either conference freshman of the year, conference players of the year, all freshman team or all conference team players as freshmen
Mm.
because we taught them how to play the game the right way. They understood how to work. They went to college and was like, college is so much easier than what you put us through.
Wow.
and
That's impressive.
I was like,
College is hard when you start as a freshman coming from high school. So if you were
yeah,
working them like that, you had them ready.
yeah. And so I started that 2016. I go to Kansas State, coach on the women's side, go to 4 postseasons in 5 years, 2 NCAA tournaments, NIT, and then I'm going to count that we had went to the postseason during COVID. Um, had an opportunity to coach my daughter there for 3 years at Kansas State, and then I got into on the men's side at private liberal arts college down in Springfield, Missouri, called Drury University, and I was on the men's side for 2 years, and then I got promoted into college administration. So I moved from the athletic side to the administrative side,
Mm.
and it taught me a lot about how to handle young people of today.
Yeah.
And did that for 2.5 plus years.
Hmm.
And then I had a guy that came through my AAU program, played professionally overseas, came back and he said, I'm going to start a company where I work with kids.
Mm.
And he started a company and he was like, hey, I need help. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And he's like, I need you to come back and help me. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And he kept on me, kept on me. So finally we got it figured out. And so I moved back to Minnesota and I became his director of business development and strategic partnerships.
Mm.
And I'm the director of his girls AAU program. And we are getting ready to open doors on a 41,000 square foot 4 court basketball facility here next Friday.
Mm.
And all of it culminates around the very first thing that my mom said to me whenever I was in high school. And it was the game where Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls play against the Portland Trailblazers. And Michael Jordan goes for 38 in the first half and hits six threes and looks at Magic and
Oh yeah, I remember
does
that.
that. I was in the floor. Yep. I was in the floor watching the game. It's thunderstorming outside. I came from the gym. The game was on late. And I showered. I'm laying in the floor, drinking a slushie, watching the game, and I'm going crazy because Michael Jordan is going nuts.
Hmm.
And my mom looks at me and she says, "Boy, you're gonna be out there with those big boys someday." I looked at her like, "Yeah, okay, mom. That's I know you love me, but that's
Yeah.
crazy, right?" And she says, "But you're not gonna be out there because you're gonna be some super big superstar." She says, "You're gonna be out there because that's gonna give you the foot in the door to work with young people."
Mm.
And I just kind of looked at her and was like, "Yeah, okay." Now here we are. I'm 52 and I've spent 2/3 of my life working with young people.
Wow.
so
Yeah. Mama
yeah,
knows.
so
Right.
yeah, mom knows. And so yeah, so with all of that, I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate to work with
Yeah.
a lot of kids and teach them the finer arts of how to play the game of life
Nice.
through
Well,
sports.
on that note, because I have one final question for you as we kind of wrap up on time here, but your message to the youth, and you kind of picked up on a little bit, but I always like to give our guests an opportunity to instill a message or any advice you might have for young hoopers or young athletes just coming up. You're given your journey and how everything worked out for you. What would be your advice to any young hoopers or athletes watching the show?
Um, you know, shut out, be able to cut off the noise and the distractions. And the biggest distraction are these things, cell phones.
100%. Yeah.
Um, the noise is social media,
Hmm.
good, bad, or indifferent. They love you one day, hate you the next.
Hmm.
Um, find comfort in being lonely because the journey that you're on as an athlete, if you are doing what you say you would like to do,
Hmm.
you're going to be lonely
Yeah.
because not everybody, you're one of one. Nobody's going down the pathway with you.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure out, like, I got to go down this on this journey alone, you
Hmm.
know. and you can't pull people along. They either go, some will walk next to you, some will walk behind you, but nobody's going to walk at your pace because you know where you want to go.
Hmm.
And that was one thing I learned, you know, all the mornings running to the gym at 7 in the morning and running, and people driving by me on the highway. And I'm the same people driving to work every day. And me saying to myself, man, I don't want to be them.
Yeah.
Man, I don't want to be them, you know. But thinking about, you know, my friends all have the same choice and opportunity to do this, and they're choosing not to.
Yeah.
And so find solace in being lonely, and pace, peace, passion, purpose. Whatever you do, do it with the best pace that you can do it with. Find peace in the work that you're doing. Have a passion for the work that you're doing, and find your purpose in life.
Mm.
And that would be what I would tell young people today.
Man, well, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Carr. I appreciate your journey, your story. I think it's one of our better shows in terms of just that grit to get there, and then you made it. So I attribute, I'm super excited about that. I was very close, had a similar workout situation where I lit it up but didn't get quite to cross it over. So congratulations on that. And I'm super impressed that you're working with kids and continuing just to be a mentor and give back. So I think that's a huge lesson for a lot of our athletes that are watching this show, to learn that there is life after the sport, and
Yeah.
the sport does prepare you for things that are greater than the sport itself. Like you said, like you had a heck of a career, but the impact you're having on other lives is probably far more significant than the amount of points you scored. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for being a guest, and we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Likewise. Well, guys, thank you for tuning into the show. If you watched all the way to the end, I appreciate it. That definitely helps the show. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on what you're thinking of the show. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
He's on his way, he's about to get paid. He's